Here now we want to bring in James Sample, professor at Hofstra Law. James, good to see you. And let's just be clear, right from the top, the former president had said repeatedly, I will testify, I'm going to get on that stand, I'm going to defend myself, but never at any time was that really presented or put on the table. And his sons, who could have testified on his behalf as well, Don Jr. and Eric, both not called to testify by their own defense. Now, when the jury starts deliberating, we know there are 34 felony counts of falsification of business records. And that's the real crime here. It's the falsification of business records to influence an election. Hush money trial is kind of the cute moniker that the media has come up with for this trial. But it's really about those falsification of records. So what exactly is the judge asking these juries to decide, decide whether this president is guilty or innocent?
The case is very straightforward, and when you listen to the defense counsel present its closing statement yesterday, they tried to make this case about the moniker, about the hush money, about Michael Cohen and all of that. But when you listen to Josh Steinglass, the prosecution attorney who did his closing statement, he started out with a very clear roadmap, and that roadmap was straightforward and simple. He said this case is at its core about a conspiracy and a cover-up, and there were three elements that the prosecution needed to prove its case. That there were false business records, and we have checks with Donald Trump's signature on them. We have the wire payment from Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels with Alan Weisselberg's handwriting on it saying gross it up, as the report that Alice just presented indicated, and that those business records, number two, were part of the conspiracy, and third, that Trump himself was involved. If you can prove those three things, then the prosecution has its case. Now, I agree with Judge Grasso that the evidence here, it would sustain a conviction. It is sufficient for a conviction. If the defendant were anyone other than Donald Trump, Chris, I think this would be an easy case to predict a conviction.
Well, and I guess that's my next question.
So you can't.
You've got the evidence, and with this former president all along, he'll say something on camera, and you can show it to him. That's not me. That's fake news. That didn't happen, when you're actually looking at the words coming out of his mouth. So with something like this, where if it's you or me, this is pretty clear cut. Yep. Probably not going to get by on this one. But it's still very much in doubt how this juror, all it takes is one. All it takes is one juror to not go along, and this is a hung jury or he's acquitted.
Yeah, I don't think there's much chance of an outright acquittal, because it's tough to get. It's tough on both directions to get 12 New Yorkers to agree on really anything. That's the burden that the prosecution has. Donald Trump effectively, not officially, legally speaking, if you get a hung jury, Donald Trump doesn't win the case, and in theory, the prosecutors could bring the case again. But effectively, especially given the election calendar, one holdout juror would be sufficient to get a hung jury, therefore a mistrial, and given the election calendar, that would be enough for Donald Trump to get, for all practical purposes, a victory.
James, let me ask you this. How do you feel that Todd Blanche and the rest of the former president's counsel did in defending him in this case?
I think they did an uneven job, Chris. Now, in fairness to them, they have a very, very difficult assignment. I think yesterday there was an extraordinary contrast between the closing statement that Todd Blanche gave and the closing statement that Joshua Steinglass gave. Very, very different. Steinglass was much more comfortable with the theatrics, and much more sort of dynamic. On the other hand, Todd Blanche has to put on the best defense he can, given a lack of evidence, given that his defendant would have been a disaster, as Judge Grasso said in that report, if he had taken the stand. It's a tough job. I think that the prosecutors acquitted themselves more credibly than the defense did, but I also understand the constraints of having Donald Trump as a client.
All right, James, thank you very much. Good to talk with you as always. Once a decision is rendered, we will have you back on, and we can break down the decision at that point when we find out exactly how long it's going to be in the hands of the jury. James, good to see you.
You too.
And stay with CBS News New York for continuing coverage. You can see live updates online at any time at cbsnewyork.com, and we will be right back.